Welcome to another month of Celebrate the Seasons here at twopeasindabucket.com. This month we're doing a school themed layout, or you can just do a fall themed layout. There's lots of options and I've included them in the information over at 2Ps. The first thing I'm going to do is I cropped my photos and printed them out at 3x4, so I'm also cutting out some ledger paper, also 3 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to stamp some Hero Arts background stamps on the ledger paper. I'm just going to ink up this Clouds design block stamp with some soft pool shadow ink, also from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to stamp that right over my pre-cut ledger paper. And it leaves me with some really fun designs. And I'm going to do this with the raindrop background stamp, also from Hero Arts, and also the designer wood grain, just to give me several different options. Now, if you wanted to include more photos on your layout, you could not do this step. You could just add photos instead of the embellishment boxes like I'm doing here. But I had just a certain number of photos and I wanted to fill in the rest with embellishment. Okay, I'm going to do my title now, and I'm taking this clear stamp from Heidi Swapp. This one says Treasure, and I'm going to stamp this design with some Versamark ink because I'm going to heat emboss it with some Leaf, a green color of embossing powder from American Crafts. So I'm just going to ink that up really good, and I'm going to stamp that right over my stamped clouds background. You can't really see it too good here in the video, but I'm going to go ahead and take a white piece of paper underneath my project and I'm going to sprinkle on that embossing powder. And I could do it right over, I'm working on a craft mat from Ranger, and I could sprinkle the embossing powder right on that and then clean it up, but this was just quicker and easier for my purposes, so I'm just using a regular sheet of paper underneath that. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that, and you can see it's shiny now, so I've already done that. I'm going to take another acrylic stamp from Heidi Swapp, and this one says Moment, and I'm going to ink it up with some Versamark as well, and I'm going to partially overlay that first design with this stamp. So I'm just going to stamp that kind of off the bottom edge of my title block. And again, I'm going to put some paper underneath, and this time I'm going to heat emboss with some red embossing powder. This is actually the Rouge embossing powder from American Crafts, and there's what it looks like when it's been heat embossed. And I want to add just a couple more stamped elements to my title, and I'm going to use this Stamp-A-Majig so that I can position this cute little apple stamp from Hero Arts on my design block. And I just used a brown color of ink so that I could see it easily on my plastic sheet that comes with the Stamp-A-Majig, and I'm going to position that apple right there next to the R and kind of on top of the S on my title. And I'm going to stamp that in some brown ink. And what I'm going to be doing here is kind of creating a paper pieced apple, and I've already done it, but I'll show you how I created that here in just a little bit. So that's what the apple looks like. I've embossed, I've stamped it rather a couple more times and then pieced the pieces together. Finally, I'm going to take this Technique Tuesday stamp. It's an Allie Edwards design stamp, and I stamped that right over the bottom, right above the word Moment. And I used some black StazOn ink because when you're stamping over a slick surface like this embossed design, you don't want the ink to rub off. Okay, here's what I'm talking about with these stamped apples. I stamped them in Versamark, and then I embossed some in red and some in green, and then I cut out the different elements and I paper pieced them together. It's just a really quick and easy technique and a fun way to create your own custom embellishments for projects. So here you can see I'm just creating another one of those embellishment blocks for my layout. This one has 3 apples. This apple set actually comes with 4 different apples, and I'm just using 3 of the designs for this particular layout. I'm using glue dots. You could also use, a lot of times I like to use liquid glue to adhere my paper pieced designs, but for this project I'm mostly just using some glue dots. So there you can see what it looks like when it's finished. Some nice little apples there. Okay, I wanted to use some initials on my project, and I thought that the cork paper from Quick Cuts would add a fun school-like touch to my page. So I'm using my new Epic 6 and the Mary Jane Grand Alphabet, and I laid those on the gray platform, layered the cork paper face down over them, and then laid the plastic cutting mat on top, and I'm running it through the machine. So I'm just going to finish running that through real quick, and I'll have some nice custom alphabet letters to add to my layout. And you can see that it cut through that cork just perfectly. And this cork paper has an adhesive background, or it has adhesive already on it, I should say. And so you just peel off that backing paper and you can adhere it like a sticker right to your page. It makes it really quick and easy to create your own custom letters for your project. I took some of this Bo Bunny paper and ran it through my printer, and I just wanted to add a little bit of journaling to a couple of these embellishment boxes on my layout. So I ran those through, and then I wanted to add just a little stamping. So I'm going to take this set from October Afternoon, and I'm going to use a couple of these clear stamps. One of them says Notes from Today, and the other one says For the Record. And again, I'm going to use some Versamark ink and stamp those on each of these pieces of, or strips of paper. And then I'm going to heat set some of that rouge or red embossing powder from American Crafts. So I'm just sprinkling that on, and then I'll heat set that. And you can see that how nice that looks. It adds just a fun touch to the journaling. And here I'm just adding those strips to my page, and I'm cutting them a little bit bigger and folding them over and adding some staples just for a fun touch. Just going to staple those in place really quick so that I can add them to my layout. And here's what they look like when they're finished. I also added some of those stamped and embossed apples to these pieces as well, and a little piece of string to one of the staples on that one. And now I'm going to just finish up the layout by adhering several punched strips to this wide border that's going to go down the center of both sides of the layout. And I punched that top weaving punch, it's Leave It to Weaver by Fiskars, and ran some ribbon through it, and then stapled the ends to secure it. And then I punched that doodle loop punch from Martha Stewart out of some green My Mind's Eye paper and adhered that, cut a thin strip of yellow Bo Bunny paper and adhered that over the bottom of that piece. And then I've punched several of the scalloped borders. This is the threading water punch from Fiskars, and I punched 4 of these, and they're going to go above and below this strip, so I needed 4 of them, 2 for each side. So it's coming together. There's lots of layers here to this center piece. You could also use the center for a title and your journaling if you wanted to include more photos on your layout instead of the embellishment box and title boxes like I did on mine. I punched a circle, and I'm just going to add that here to the ends. That kind of came about because I'm going to add this die cut alphabet border, and I only cut it about 11 inches, so I wanted a little something to put at the ends. So there's what that looks like when that's all finished. Hope this gives you some fun ideas for some school-themed or fall-themed layouts. Thanks for watching.